You can start rolling.
How Caesar?
I'll clap. You can start rolling.
Go, it's safe.
That stuff is nice. You must put it in.
No, we don't have to put it in. It didn't start where it was meant to start. And now, knowing Amachita, they're going to be angry that we started with it and never went on.
In.
The start.
Are
Are you the editor? Are you the editor? Oh, you're not the editor. Oh, thank you. For the editor, we're about to start now. So please start recording, start editing from here. Thank you, Caesar.
Wait, it's only filmmaker. Why not only filmmaker? So what does are you the edit? It was speed or down.
I'm sorry, I won't clap again. It's just...
So we must wait for you.
In the past, I've said some dodgy things that ended up in the episode. So.
Yeah.
Nyasaba.
Guys, but we need to hit on the safe space thing. But anyway, we're here for other things. I thought it's done.
Yeah, and we're here for you, sir. The first episode, I think we introduced citizens as a concept.
Yeah.
And you explained what you guys were trying to achieve. And I added some criticism, some suggestions. What was beautiful about the second episode that we had was the unpacking of the cost of going to elections. I think one of the numbers you threw out was 500 million to get 5%, I think, or something of the votes.
Yeah.
Which I had the privilege of sitting recently with Ubabu Umsholos, the ex-president Jacob Zuma.
Yeah.
It was not an official sit-down. We did not discuss politics. I was not there to record a podcast. But in sitting with them, I found myself wondering again around the cost of running a party like MKP. And I remember sitting with Ubabu Ntlego, the chairperson, asking him this question.
Yeah.
Where he gave me an answer. And obviously out of respect, I didn't push back. But even after, I was like, you can't tell me that it's just communities that are just raising imali to run this thing. But obviously later on, with 14% of the votes, they would get political party funding from parliament or government, or however it works.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of money. I think last year, the year before, it's over 800 million.
Yeah.
That was given.
Yeah.
So that was really educational for me.
Yeah.
And I hope for people out there, especially for young guys who fancy themselves getting into politics.
Yeah.
Serious politics. We've got ex-SG of MKP now, Floyd Shibambu, who's running a campaign to potentially set up a political party.
Yeah.
So understanding that background for him or anyone else who wants to get into politics, I think is fundamentally important.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you have for us today, and I'm looking forward to learning from you as someone who had been somewhat of a novice in getting into mainstream politics.
Absolutely. So thanks for the chance. I mean, you are right, novice, and also more than half the time, we actually don't even know what we're doing. So, I have this knack to say there are certain things, even though you don't understand them, you can't just walk away. Like you need to try and figure out what can be done with this thing. So this is why I'm never ever in defense of politics. All I can say is here is an alternative view out of many alternatives view. Now, clearly that also does not work in politics. Politics is a confidence game. It's not a competence game. The more confident, so make the answers as simple as possible. Lie if you need to lie. Sound confident in your lies because society wants that, right? So if you try and apply competence in politics, you're actually not going to go anywhere.
In this country?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yeah, because the realities of what happens in society are so complex. They cause a mental overload, right? So, I mean,
for the average person?
No, just generally.
Okay.
So here's the theory of how a mind works. It's going to be very quick. Your brain is 2% of your body, but when it's switched on, right? When you're consciously thinking about something, it consumes 20% of the energy.
Hectic.
So it's a switched on brain, it's a very inefficient part of your body. So this is what happened.
Say that again. A switched on brain.
It's a very
inefficient.
For the purpose of the body. Remember, because it is only 2%.
So you're sucking resources.
When it's switched on, it sucks resources. This is why your fingers tingle and your knees go weak when you're about to do something that requires your mind to switch on.
Yes.
Because your body has to take resources from other parts of your body in order to fire the mind, right?
Hectic.
And this is why stereotypes are very useful, right? Because then the brain always seeks shortcuts. Because the shortcuts are for your self-preservation, are for your sanity. It's very efficient.
Yeah.
This is why you don't have a time when people say, oh, how do you judge me without knowing me? Dude, you don't have time to know everyone.
I don't have the energy to consume. But ngifuna load shedding.
Your mind is gonna collapse.
Yeah.
Right? So your mind is trying to help you. It loves shortcuts. So when you take something as complex as politics and you simplify it and you're like, we need the Traore, right?
Yes.
People are, okay, then I don't have to think.
100%.
Right? Okay, I can relax because there's a big man who is usually a big man who's going to come and solve this thing for me, right? And it's not because those people who take shortcuts are bad people. This is why I'm saying to you, it is for your own sanity that the problems have to be simple.
Can I ask a naughty question?
Yeah.
No. I want to ask something that's linked to what you always say about the Traore thing, but you can hit.
You can ask. Well, I'm going to make a note and then ask a naughty question. The note was when you said politics is a confidence game. I just remembered that a con man, the con in con man is for confidence.
It's confidence.
Man.
Yeah.
The naughty question is when you speak about a big man, the first thing I thought was indoda enkulu, nkulu.
Yeah.
Would you argue that religion is the same?
Religion is the same, and I'm happy to talk about religion as part of the ideology. We spoke about mice, money, ideology, coercion, and ego, and I'll still bring some of those elements in here. So the theory, and I'm going to answer your question, but the theory of human development is this, is we often think about human development as you are a child, you become a teenager, you become an adult. There has been an argument that that's not necessarily true. The argument is you are a child, and when you get to teenage years, a teenager layer is added, but it does not take away the child.
The child is still there.
The child is still there. And when you become an adult layer is added.
The other two are still there.
The other two are still there. This is why someone will say, oh, you're behaving like a child.
You're being immature.
You're being immature. Because under big distress, you resort lower. So when
under great distress,
yes,
you go back to being a child.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there are different things.
Tantrums and all those things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're not insane. You are human.
You don't graduate to teen and adulthood.
No.
You just add a layer.
You add a layer.
I like that.
So the things that happens at a child level, one of the most appealing stories in the child layer is the hero-villain story.
Yes.
It's so simple.
Yes.
The villain is bad. The hero is good.
That's it.
I don't have to think about it.
Yes.
And therefore, those stories will always be, if you wanted to just screw up the minds of children, just go and make Spider-Man die. It's a proper mindfuck. It's like, what the hell just happened here?
Yes.
The hero always wins. What kind of movie is this? What director
Even for grown-ups.
Even for grown-ups.
They struggle with the hero dying.
So the child will always look for a hero. So when under distress, you're looking for who's good, who's bad. You don't like the gray area. You don't gray areas for what? You're not in that space. It's survival mode. That's what happens at a child level. Teenager level is about identity. So sometimes when an adult is under distress, they'll say, who am I? Who are my ancestors?
That's teenage.
Teenager is the period of formation of self-identity.
Figuring out who you are.
So sometimes when an adult is under pressure, they don't immediately resort to a child. they go into teenager space and say, maybe I don't know who I am.
Yes.
Maybe this is not the name I'm supposed to be. I mean, it's worse for me because my name is Jan. You go into this thing, I was like, what is the meaning of life? And that's a teenager identity questions.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about you or unique. That's actually because the adult reality of today is overwhelming for you.
Yes.
And your system is trying to help you by saying, switch this overload. Like, let's do some load shedding. Forget adult responsibilities, all of that. Maybe let's see if you can recover at a teenager stage. Who's my lineage? Who's my culture? This is why we had this conversation about culture and whatever. I don't, so then if that does not work, you don't have answers. You've changed your names, you've changed your surname, you've gone and walked the ground somewhere.
Ubungoma also falls into this. And switching through religious beliefs.
Absolutely. You know what you're saying is so hectic because it's making me think of a few things. The first thing is when you speak about the mind has to switch off, the Traore thing, where you're saying, they said this is going to be our leader, our dictator. Everything's going to be perfect. Because once you switch on the brain, you need to then speak about what you're speaking about. There's going to be murder. People won't get certain jobs.
Yeah.
If you go against that leader, things might go bad for you. But you wanted him initially. But because there's what you're speaking about, that it's simplified. The brain says, there's a Traore and that's it.
Absolutely.
I don't have to think further than what this person is saying. And I think that's why then we outsource leadership.
Yeah.
I think we outsource it because our minds don't actually want to go and unpack what this thing actually means. But you'd rather have someone say it and that's it. But
it's for our sanity also. Like, I want to keep bringing it here. It's not because we are crazy.
It's because we're trying to be efficient.
But also, you must also understand that when you think about society, a society can be made of adults, but the psyche of society might be childlike.
That's correct.
So that's the part of the problem we face in South Africa, in that although we have adults voting.
In terms of age.
But in terms of psyche, we are childlike. So we continue to look for...
We need jobs, we need houses,
Absolutely.
What must my kids eat? I'm like, but they're your kids.
And then of course the disappointments come. So I'll come back to you now, just Tebza. So this is what happens. So we're going to talk about the ANC, the MK, the DA, the EFF, Zuma, Traore, but not because we've got sufficient time to talk. I'm going to try and pull at least a perspective on alternative way of making sense of what's going, what's going on. But if you take South Africa as an example, Mandela was the hero.
Yes.
Right? But it doesn't take long before reality, because heroes don't exist, right? This is so complex. That's a very
strong statement.
So heroes don't exist. So suddenly we started to say, when we were not seeing the results, the big man results we were looking for, we said, but the guy sold out. This is why we did not, because we don't want to grapple with the realities of the very complex challenges that can never, South Africa's many issues cannot be solved in under 30 years. And we have already lost so much time. So pretty much anyone who says, I will come in, I will solve this thing in 5 years, I can tell you outright they're lying. Whether it's Rob Pessoff, whether it's someone else, whatever. So as soon as we start to see that this is the reality, this person cannot give us what we thought we were getting out of him, we start to want to turn that person into a villain and find a new hero.
Yes.
The new hero was, we want someone who can be forthright, clear, and drive transformation and BEE and affirmative action. That was Mbeki. He gave us I'm going to be intellectual, I'm going to tell you what needs to be done, I'm going to try build Pan-Africa. Then, of course, this thing repeats itself. Then that big man also is not going to deliver the results because the realities are complex. What would you start to say? The man is aloof.
Of course.
He's not in touch with the people.
Yes.
We need a person
who
will be able to...
Dark Knight, you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, drum roll, Who's the person who comes and solves that? 2007, Polokwane happens. That's Zuma, the man of the people. All right?
Yes.
The man of the people, everyone is happy, everyone is brought in. COSATU supports this, SACP supports this. And then obviously the results don't come. Then we're like, no, this man is illiterate, so therefore corruption, he's being duped, he does not have his own money. Drum roll. We need a new hero.
New dawn.
Comes new dawn. Meanwhile, the real issues of what we have to grapple with have not moved 1 inch. So that's the childlike nature of where we are, Pen. You wanted to say something, Debza, or did
before you say it, I want to make a note. Sorry, I was thinking of maybe making it just by myself.
Sure.
Because this is important for me personally.
Yeah.
And for anyone else who maybe processes like me. The counter theory is you don't graduate from childhood to teenagehood, from there to adulthood.
Yeah.
You add layers. The first thought in my head is, and these are just thoughts, I'm not asking anything. My first thought is some people's layers are thin.
Yeah.
So they don't develop thick layers of like identity or becoming mature. And so that becomes part of the problem. And the other layers or the other things that they'd had then supersede and are bigger.
Yeah.
So yes, you have a thin layer of adulthood, but your child, let's call it development, is still bigger. That's the first thought. The second one is if childhood and teenagehood don't graduate into something, that means they're still there. And there's a chance that human beings will carry on investing in them until they die.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that someone, when they're meant to be investing in being a teenager, continues investing in being a child. When they're meant to be investing in being an adult, they keep investing in being a child, to a point where some people that maybe don't develop these things during the years that they're meant to develop them, try to develop them later. That's when we speak about midlife crisis. I'm going for younger hands.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't think I fully enjoyed my childhood or developed it to a point of satisfaction. So I wanna go back, and I know I'm meant to be developing this thing, but and then my last thought is, depending on which of these phases you enjoy the most or you thrive in the most, that's the one you'll invest in the most.
Absolutely.
So if you're good as an adult solving problems, that's where you'll thrive and become a leader. And if you're dealing with identity, ubungoma, history, what, I can counsel you, help you. You stick to that, and we think you're so smart, but you're struggling here. And you're so brilliant at identity. I'm brilliant. I get all these degrees, but when it comes to solving real problems, I suck here.
Yeah.
And if my childhood was brilliant, it doesn't matter where I am in my life. I'm constantly gonna go back. I have children. I'm struggling. I'm like, no, let me run back home. Let me ask for this. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to vocalize those.
You're right, Pen. And so the thing is, adulting is overwhelming, like for a number of reasons. Like one, like I said, adult life is complex. There are no simple, this is good, this is bad. Even in people who are good, you can find. Now, I say this. I said, if I was doing interview for jobs and someone said to me, what are your strengths and weaknesses, right? Today, I would probably answer it as those you're asking me the same thing as if it's two different things. Because indeed, actually, your strength is also your weakness. So everything has got a shadow to it. So, if you are a person who's like has self-confidence and all of that, and now that's a strength.
Yes.
The cost of it is you're probably not going to be great at building relationships. So the same thing that is because you don't have a high need for affiliation.
Yes.
You don't have a big need for belonging and all of. You're gonna likely suck at long-term relationships. So the weakness and the strengths, are the same thing. So
two sides of the same coin, basically.
Two sides of the same coin. Now I always say this. Goliath's strength was size. Goliath's weakness was size. Right? Goliath's strength was size. Goliath's weakness was size.
Those are like big companies as well.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
We're a big company, but that also...
So the other thing that makes adulting overwhelming is that life, as you grow up as a child and a teenager, life has got natural society-based milestones. You're 6, you're 7.
Therefore,
you're in grade 1, you're in grade 2. So you actually don't have to do your self-assessment of whether you're growing or not, because there is universally agreed benchmarks of I am growing. Then of course, even biologically, then the beard comes out and whatever. The problem with adult is there are no universal milestones of growth. It's really all up to you. There are not even visible external features other than when you start to become gray.
Sure.
And actually does not even say you're growing. It says you're getting old.
That's correct.
Nature is giving up on you. So adulthood is a very difficult space. And it forces you, because you don't have, you are not in grade 11. And this is why people then go and pile up degrees and all of that, because they are desperate for the societal benchmarks of growth.
These are facts.
Because
just
now
I almost don't even want him to speak about politics.
Yes, politics.
I'm introspecting so much.
You know what's so crazy? And Penson always says this, and you also said, Pen, that as adults, we are dealing with issues of our younger self. And I think it's linking to this, that the thing you speak, where I was going with the thing of you're an old guy, so call a 50 or whatever, and you want to solve the issues that you had when you were a teen. And it's not necessarily that you are evil, you must just force yourself to grow up. In the context of what we're speaking about now, you haven't, I wouldn't say evolved, but it's still in you to be a teenager.
Absolutely.
People, there's some people will tell you, they're old, man, they behave like a child, man. Why?
Yeah.
It's still in them. So the question then becomes, do you have to switch off your child and teenagehood in your adulthood? Or do you have to try to limit some of those things because you are in essence an adult?
No, you can't switch it off. This is why I'm saying to you that this thing is for you. Is for your self-preservation. If your mind was permanently in adult space, you will suffer depression. You might even have a stroke. Because the adult stage is all relative. Everything is like gray there.
I've got an answer for you.
So you don't have to get rid of that, right?
Yeah.
So in mature relationships, the advice that is often given is you name each one of these stages. So you are Pen, the adult. Then there is a name, the Penzo, the young one, the teenager.
Sure.
Then there is Penuel, the ID name, for the child.
Sure.
So that your partner can be able to say, could it be that there is Penuel coming out in this conversation? But also not just for your partner, for you.
Yes.
I know when I'm being childish. And I know when sulking is a childish behavior, right? But adults sulk. So the victory is not you cannot take the layers away. All you can do is be conscious, be aware of them when they happen.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is, this is the child in me, right? You don't have to acknowledge that. You don't have to announce that to everyone around you. But you know that, okay, I look like I'm fighting. I always say a couple gets home, fights over what sounds like, please make me tea. But actually, it still relates to a long hug the wife gave to a guy at the mall, But you can't say that because that's not an adult thing to say, to say, I think that hug was a bit too long, whatever.
So you'd rather fight over something else.
They'd rather fight over something else. I said to you, make me tea.
Now patriarchy comes in.
So anyway.
It's crazy. I think sometimes as human beings, I think you must always have different types of relationships and define those relationships.
Yeah.
So your wife is whatever, then one of your friends is just the one where we are teenagers when we are together.
Yeah.
Then there's the ones where we speak about politics. Because I think one of the mistakes people make, they want to find everything in their partner.
Absolutely. So, and your partner will never be able to achieve that. So the last point on this thing is you need to create space for each one of these layers. So go do jumping castle, whatever. Go be a child. Go have a date with ice cream, whatever. Without knowing too much about keto and all of those things or whatever, So sometimes people go be teenagers because they'll be like, oh, we are going on this trip, no cell phones, whatever, right? Like, so create space, safe space for each one of these individuals. And partners also need to, once you go into a relationship, you don't stop paying yourself. One of the things that does not happen enough in relationships is allowing the individual the space, because the relationship is a third entity between the two of you, right? I'm not the relationship. I'm me. And you are you, you know? If we overburden the relationship as this has just become our common identity, that's not going to work. But anyway.
Before you continue,
we still have to come back to the topic of the day.
So from here,
oh, he's Penzo. This is Penzo. Who are you now? Are you Penuel? Penzo? Are you the black pen?
Are you the black pen?
Come on. No, I think after I make this point, I'm going to keep quiet and then let you start with the topic of the day.
Hectic.
Debs, I think what you're doing is the mistake many of us would do, which is to assume that adulthood is better or more important than the others, to your question.
Okay.
And I think those who are smarter, who Jan is speaking about, be conscious. Most people will never be. So I think the responsibility becomes for those who are aware to be like, oh, this person is like this. Either you tell them or you don't. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think one of the mistakes we have, and even when we speak about politics now, is we're really trying to get everyone to go through these phases and get to adulthood. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
I think there are people that are designed to either be children forever or majority children or majority teen, and that's okay. And it's for us to accept and then maneuver with them as they are. Because the assumption now is, it's almost like everyone should be a leader. I think that's what we're doing in our heads. Everyone should be an adult. And I think that's maybe why we're struggling even in politics, that we're assuming that everyone should get to a certain level. It's like, no, look at their age, because that's important.
Yeah.
And then look at their development where you can, and then assign. This is who they are. If they change and grow, sure. But for now, this is what we're dealing with. So when they come and they say, I don't have a job, what must my kids eat? Don't tell them, look, go work on yourself and develop into an adult. Be like, no. I see what I'm dealing with here.
Yes.
Let me help you in here.
Absolutely.
I'm going to help you.
I'll give you a grant.
But ngizokushaya.
Yes.
Hambe clean it up.
Absolutely.
Yebo mlungu wami, yebo boss.
Yes.
And then you win. And that person's going to say, Uyan is the best person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, Uyan treats you like a child. He should. And you're like, he treats me as I am. And that's what makes him great.
Absolutely. And that's
my last point.
That's the genius of the current Ramaphosa leadership, right? So
Genius, Ramaphosa
I'll tell
leadership.
you why. No, in line with what you see.
My apologies.
Someone jumped out. Was it Penuel or?
I think that was the child.
The tales and stories, right, appeals mostly to the child, right? I think what Ramaphosa has figured out is I have to keep giving these people stories and tales. Whether it's speed trains or Dintswalo or national dialogue, like you can, so it can't allow you to be bored and then start to think, okay, something does not add up.
Let me distract you.
It has to distract you. He has to give you yet, because no one ever asked, like, how? Where is Dintswalo Kande? You know? So now we are going into dialogue. Like, you want to tell me that after 30 years of ANC rule, someone has just woken up and said, now we need a conversation.
700 million.
700 million. Like, but that works because we are in a childlike society. People
and we're talking
are like,
about it now.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that's good. What do you think are, so if you had to say these are my ideal outcomes out of a national dialogue, right? And then you write them down and say, okay, let me think about how this dialogue is going to achieve these things. We need economic growth. We need lower levels of crime. We need quality education. We need transformation in society. Like, those things are true pre-dialogue. They are true during the dialogue. They are true after the dialogue. So what the hell are you hoping comes out of this thing? But it's not a silly move. because I have to keep giving you something. It's circus and bread all over again. Bread and circuses.
Yeah.
I have to give you bread, so I'm not gonna ever question and touch the grants, even when whatever, right? And I'm not saying I'm against. And then the rest, I must keep entertaining you. I must give you stories to talk about. DA is also becoming quite good at that. But their stories are based on fear, right? Like your what do they call it? The Doomsday Coalition. And all of that. And the people start to repeat this thing. Doomsday Coalition. The same people who were in the ANC and they never collapsed society, but now if they come back together, that's the end.
Doomsday,
and they're not silly. DA is not silly. This thing works in a society like ours, where simple stories matter, right? And this is why, I can try and you can try and go into politics, but you're going to be overwhelmed by the pressure to tell simple lies, right?
Yes.
You're going to be overwhelmed by that because you're going to have to go home and say, no, man, but how do I just say to people, this thing will be solved tomorrow? But people want that.
Lesotho is good at that.
You can't say that.
Lesotho is good at that.
Yes. But Panyaza went, there was that explosion in Joburg. He went on scene and say, I don't know, a few weeks.
We'll sort it out.
This thing will be sorted out.
Come on.
How many years has it been now?
Yeah.
I think we're on year 2 or 3 or
No,
whatever.
I think it's more than that. Year 4. Thank you, Caesar.
Madness.
Absolute madness.
But works.
Yes.
But works. Because suddenly, you mentioned Lesotho. When people are like, no, but perhaps we have people who are sold to business, because I was telling you about this, how the Mandela was bad, Mbeki was bad. Until Mbeki was bad, Zuma was bad. So now people are like, we lost the revolutionary, right?
Yes.
And I think that's what Lesotho is aiming for. He is looking to capture the idea of democratic mass, revolution spirit by
ANC
saying,
of Utambo.
Not again. We won't kill Chris again, and so then we will be.
And for people like us, that's frustrating.
No, it's gonna be super frustrating, but it works. It works because at the time when people are looking for the hero, nostalgia is a very compelling, sellable concept.
Correct.
Because you clean up the dirty parts and then represent it as something new, or the reigniting of what we once were.
Yes.
Because the reality today is overwhelming. But anyway.
All of them are trying to save the ANC. Zuma, Mbeki, all of them keep saying the same thing. We need to save the ANC.
We need to save the ANC. Because the idea of the ANC is a very appealing panacea. It's like maybe there was a time we were onto something.
100%.
Chris Hani is perfect. Peter Mukaba, maybe those were the people.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to be a villain. If Ohani were around today, Bigo were around today, we'd be telling another story.
We were going to have a lot of story about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to come back to what I wanted to talk about and say, so we have had a conversation that says, maybe let's just start with a recap. We said, if you want to make sense of politics, don't worry about morals and all of that. Understand the interests and who is most influential in society when it comes to different interest groups. And then we defined the 5 interest groups. We said one is capital. Their motive is profit making. They are not bad people. It's just that's their mandate.
Yes.
They are rewarded for that, right? They have to make profit.
Yeah.
If you are some of the people who are some of the very aggressive capitalist people, maybe in their individual capacity, they are not even like that. This thing is all an act. You've been given a role in a script. You better perform the script. You can't go and say, okay, now I'm Tsiki, I'm in generations and now I'm not this aggressive, whatever. They'll kick you out because that's not what they're looking for.
They'll find someone else.
So capital is looking for profit. That's the nature of it. Then you've got the political elite. The political elite needs to stay in power, usually in service of the business interest. And the business interest needs the political elite to have legitimacy.
Yes.
Legitimacy means you are able to manage society. Right?
I loved you raising legitimacy, by the way. It's such a beautiful way to explain what politicians are, because you painted the picture of once the apartheid government, maybe an ANC today, starts losing legitimacy.
Yes.
You're opening a gap for like a new type of...
Right.
Yeah.
The type of leaders who will be able to manage lull society into compliance. That's legitimacy.
Sure.
Right? And when we start to lose legitimacy, then business panics. Because business prefers stability. Business that's got... If you had to choose between the good thing and the bad thing, business choice is stability.
Sure.
Even if the bad thing provides stability, that is still preferred.
You can invest in that.
What business fear the most, now forget all the stories about revolution and whatever, I'll talk about that. What business fears the most is unrest, social chaos. So the biggest fear is what happened in the 2000 and what, the July unrest.
The riots.
That's the biggest fear of business.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real fear, especially raising the Nyaope generation we are raising. We are raising a growing generation of people with nothing to lose. So social unrest, because you see, it's hard for you and I, Pen, to start social unrest. We've got like a little bit of mukukunyana. There's a car that we can still put petrol in.
Yeah.
We've got something to lose. This is why this was the purpose of affirmative action and BEE.
Yeah.
We are the beneficiaries of that. The system has given us something. And we are starting to talk, like... I've got nothing against the lady, the citizen consent. Now, she had a conversation with Mike, and they were saying, we are changing. Like, they say, once the slave lives in the house, they start to talk about the house as our house with the master. I'm like, I almost fell off my chair. I'm like, we? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, like, what do you mean? What do you mean we? Like, we are like we? What do you mean, right? So when the master is sick, then the house niggas say, we are sick today. Sorry, guys. I'm like, okay, like we've got problems. So legitimacy is required, because otherwise, not the revolution. Again, forget the stories about revolution. I'll come back to the Traore story and all of that, because the model is an attempt. It's just an alternative view. You need legitimacy. ANC is feared to be starting to lose legitimacy. And as I said last time, DA is probably the next candidate for that. There are multiple candidates. It's very seldom one candidate.
Yeah.
Even when the ANC came in, the right people were keeping Buthelezi warm on the side. That's they were correct. Keeping whatever. So don't think about this. It's called survival bias. The option you end up seeing, you think it was the only option. So I think there's a DA option. There's a bit of like a Motsepe option and all of that. And maybe these things converge. At the same time, the funders have put in money in the likes of Action SA and Rise Mzansi, whatever. Those are all different irons in the fire.
Yes. By
the same people. That's why I say, forget what the ideology and simulated fights that happen between these parties. You've got some view into how they are funded. You should rely on that more than anything they say.
Yeah.
The ideology is the show business. This is like, it's twerking, it's dancing. It's
this is my playlist, Baba.
Yeah, don't worry. There is no fight between Action SA and DA, no matter what the leaders say. Because who will fund that fight? Like the people who have invested money, they want what seemed like diverse views to attract as many people as possible. But when it comes to bear, so we need to understand that the model is a country like Germany, where the leader of government gets about 25 to 30%. So what we are being prepared for is a government led by a DA that is at, let's say, 20 to 25%, because no one else will have higher.
A coalition. They're prepping us to accept a short-term or medium-term future of a coalition. Government, which is meant to be best for everyone.
Which is meant to be best for everyone.
And speaks to legitimacy.
Legitimacy.
Guys, we all voted. You guys wanted this.
Absolutely. Okay. It is not possible that, Mashaba was part of a moonshot pack and then suddenly, DA is the number one enemy. Like, we're being insulted, right? Because it is important that these people continue to dilute. So the dilution of the ANC, think about it this way. ANC has got 40%. If the ANC was our biggest problem, it means the other parties have got 60%.
Yes.
Why do we not have the government? Because it means the 60% can form government.
Correct.
Why do we not have the government of the 60%? And we still are being told the ANC is the biggest problem by each one of these parties.
Yes.
So if together they can get rid of the biggest problem, why do we have the government formed by the ANC at 40%?
I want to ask you a question. So you spoke about the first interest group being Capital, who are motivated by profit.
Yes.
And they fund the politicians who are meant to be about legitimacy. For stability.
Absolutely.
Capital wants profit in this space.
Yes.
Is there a chance that MK, maybe EFF, are being funded by Capital, who want profit, but are not part of the same group? And that's where the problem is.
I'll come to that. I think I'll keep that in mind. Okay. Let me just conclude the parties. Then you've got citizens. As I said, citizens want prosperity, right? Don't label it jobs. That's like the last order thinking. You want prosperity.
No one wants a job.
No one wants
money.
No.
We're trying to achieve an end.
An end.
And the end is prosperity.
Yeah. The jobs thing is it's called approximate reasons. It's not ultimate reason. Approximate reason is something that seems logical to you, but actually it covers up some underlying issue. That's the real thing. So prosperity. If we can get it for free, the better.
Sure.
Right? So this is why people who argue against grants actually don't think are being honest, because if we could all be given money, right, and then we can go choose what we want to do with our lives, we will take it.
They wouldn't give the money back.
Absolutely. Yeah. They wouldn't give the money back, right? So the worst type of money is the one you did not receive, right?
Not the one you didn't earn.
No.
It's the one you did not receive.
The one you did not receive. That's the worst type of money. It's bad. It's terrible.
It's on the PE.
Yeah, it's on corruption. What? Wait until NASPA say, Pen, we're thinking about giving you 30% of the...
You take it, Baba. And then the mlocha comes out like, hey.
Because as long as we don't compromise the people and...
As long as with the...
Anyway,
so those are the three main parties. Then I added two other parties: organized crime and foreign interest. All right.
Organized crime. What's their incentive?
Is to
make money as well.
Just get value without putting too much effort into it.
But organized crime is also about making money. Like
it's
capital.
About making money.
So I'm trying to figure out. This is just for me. The difference between what we call capital and organized crime is who defines what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're almost the same.
The same.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Then you've got foreign interest. Foreign interests are driven obviously by the interest of their countries, right? The lines get a bit complicated because sometimes foreign interests seldom play directly in the field. They either play through big business and or governing elite and or organized crime. So they are not a very direct player.
And they play through all of them.
They play through all of them, right? Sometimes they also play through citizens, by the way, by going into the ground and building up, like...
NPOs?
Yeah, like NPOs.
NPOs fall away in these five.
No, you see, this is let me come back to the NPO. So what happens inside the citizens is citizens don't have a singular voice.
Sure.
So what you end up with formations inside the citizen space.
Trade unions,
NPOs and all of that. And they say, we know what's best for you. But often those formations are an expression of interest
from somewhere.
And
it could be foreign interests.
It could be foreign interests.
Through trade unions, through NPOs. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So those are the 5 parties that will help us understand, politics, elections results, formations of parties, whatever. We've got a model. Models are never perfect, but we've got a model. Then on top of that, we added mice, right? We said, okay, how do you convince an individual to say I'm in, right? Especially people in leadership.
Yeah.
And we said it's money, and then it's ideology, it's coercion, or it's ego. Tell them that they are awesome, right? And often it is a combination of all those two.
Yeah.
The problem, we immediately run into problems because mice, so the different components of mice have got different impact. If I had to rank them by impact, the one with the highest level of impact is coercion. I'm going to kill your children, or I'm going to kill you, right?
It's the most powerful language.
It's the most powerful language.
Yeah, it's the number one language of the powerful.
Because you have to, number one driver is self-preservation. I must be alive and my kids should be alive.
Yeah, coercion would be number one.
And then followed by money, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a toss-up somewhere between ideology and ego, right?
Probably ego.
Maybe ego and then ideology last. Ideology last, right?
Sure.
So you've got coercion, money, ego, ideology, right? The immediate problems we run into is when you rank them by visibility. Ideology is the most visible. Maybe to an extent ego, maybe to an extent money, and coercion is the least visible. So we have an immediate challenge in that the most influential thing is the thing we don't see.
And it's the thing that's not promoted. When you speak about violence and guns and those things, immediately people pull back and they're like,
absolutely.
And I'm like, but you do realize where we are today is all because of violence.
Absolutely.
By the time the other things come, like when you're like, but the constitution and the law, all of those structures and systems came with violence.
Absolutely.
Now we're debating ideology. No, but death penalty.
Yeah. And that's exactly the problem. So let's say ideology was the 1%. And maybe let's be generous and say it's the 5%. We are trying to have intellectual conversation about 5%. Like whenever we say we are having debates about what's happening in South Africa and there's this analyst and there's this commentator, we are all slaughtering each other trying to debate the 5%.
Before we started filming, I spoke to you about how I've sort of given up on politics.
Yeah.
It's that realization.
Yeah.
It's the listening to political analysts, the podcast, the interviews, the arguments, this one. And I've come to realize that it's all just a huge game. And we can sit and I'll be called to debate and I'm like, I know this is not the thing that's going to change anything.
Absolutely. So what then happens is here is the thing, the most influential thing is coercion. Sometimes we judge people who have taken the money, not because that was the first thing that was pitched to them.
Yes.
The first thing that was pitched to them is, and this is where the ANC finds itself, I'll talk about the big 4 parties plus a special kit, which I think is the PA, right? When I talk about the consequences of the results. In that, so when you have leaders that are compromised, so in the NC, you've had Ace Magashule charged, and then you had that the lady who is Mapisa Ngagula, charged, and the question is who decides who gets charged in the ANC? Because if you were saying I'm charging people for what they have done, you will charge a lot of the ANC.
Correct. Well, no CV.
You will charge a lot of the ANC. So you have compromised leaders that even in putting them under pressure, you do not have to do too much. You just have to say to them, listen, we can lay charges. You're not going to run short of, things you can charge them for.
That's correct.
Right? So listen, we can make this very complicated and difficult, or you can just do what we want you to do, and we look up and you live happily, and you can continue to have views in society, or when your kids can see you. So we have leaders that you don't even have to apply too much coercion.
Then they'll take the money.
You don't even
and then
have
it looks
to,
like money.
You don't even have to threaten to kill their kids because they are compromised.
Yeah.
You just have to say, listen, we can charge you.
Yeah.
And
she's the former Minister of Defense and Military Veterans in South Africa.
And you need to have examples. This is why the Magashules are examples. They are reminders, right?
And they're all happening under Ramaphosa.
In my view, I don't think Magashule did anything that is worse than what has been done by a whole lot of other leaders inside the ANC. But you need to keep on reminding people that, hey, we are serious, And his position was important because he was seen as the CEO of the party. I mean, if you are the general
secretary general,
right, you are the CEO of the party, and if they can show that we can even bring you down at that level, that's a Marikana type thinking, right? It's a constant reminder that Jesus, things can turn very quickly here. And I can be out in the cold.
I want to add this lady, Umamu Ayanda Dlolo. Her last ministry was Minister of State Security. And it's just making me wonder. Number one, it's women. Well, besides Ace. And then number two, I'm wondering about Umamu Enji Mutsecha. With the ministry she has now, do they set you up in these state security defense so that at any given time you can become a fall guy? And the second concern is always, or thought is, are you being threatened or are you being asked to be a fall guy so that everyone else is fine and then we'll just give you money and then we'll say, but look at what happened to Banban.
Yeah, but once in a while they'll need an example of consequences, right?
For others to behave.
And for the others to behave.
Okay.
So sometimes when you look at people that have taken their money, which actually obviously we are not seeing everyone who has taken their money.
Sorry. I just wanted, Umamu Ayanda Dlolo, the riots. She was blamed for that.
Yeah.
And then instead of, let's say, being charged or whatever, she was moved overseas. She now occupies a position in corporate somewhere, I think in America.
Yeah, you will be charged when they decide you will be charged. And because if it was you committed a possible crime, a lot of people should be charged.
That's correct. And they don't squeal. They don't say anything. They don't say,
absolutely.
But Nubanban also,
absolutely.
They take the hits.
So this is why I'm saying, so when we look at politicians, we need to understand that we probably a lot of us will not fare any better under, you need, until you have options. The problem is we've got leaders who don't have options, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, this is it. This is it. If you're on Mbalula and you're cut out of the ANC, what happens?
Nothing. He's got nothing.
What happens?
Can I ask you a personal question quickly?
Yeah.
Would you take money to let go of, let's say, your so-called ideology?
No.
You'd have to. They'd have to use coercion with you.
No, they'll have to use coercion. Right?
Is it because you don't need the money?
I don't need the money. And this is not a higher than thou conversation. I have a unique set of circumstances that influences my psyche slightly different. But that does not mean I can judge harshly those who take money. There's two key things. One is I continue to have a rural home, a very comfortable rural home.
Which is almost free.
Which is free, almost free.
Yeah.
Right? That household, with sheep and goat and whatever, can run for very little.
So basic needs, Maslow, sorted.
Put in solar and whatever, it's a borehole, all of that, own septic tank.
Can go off grid.
So the fallback, if things go wrong in Joburg, is not the worst thing.
Sure.
You see, so I can go to Simaning, Amatlala, and then live comfortably and then die, right?
Was that intentional that Joburg is not the end goal? when you first thought of the idea of building the home emakhaya, what was that first initial thought? Because I'm thinking what you're saying now is an evolution of that first thought. I could be wrong.
That got there over time. Like, honestly, I was just a child who grew up in a community where you look after your parents. My mom is 90. And the
Shout out to your mom, by the way.
The best thing you can do for parents is to look after them, right?
That's correct.
It was just really with time that I'm like, hold on.
Actually.
This thing, actually. Because I used to think about it as like, we invested in lot in the home state. I used to think, because you can't sell, but it's your permanent home state, whatever, you hand it over, whatever. I always think, this is a waste of money. I could have bought a thing in town.
Let me get a private property with a title deed.
But now, it's only now with time, I'm like, oh no, hold on. This thing, I never have to explain it to anyone. There are no levies, there are no whatever. If I can make it function, and then I can try and make the community contribute, and we do some level of community level uplift, whatever. This thing is outside the system.
It's a great insurance policy.
So there's that. So there's that. The other thing where I am is just sheer luck is I got out of matric. I've said this before. I got out of matric in 95, and it matters because it was immediately after 94.
Yeah.
And universities were giving a lot of money, black students like me, like vets and all of that or whatever. Similarly, I'm the first generation of beneficiaries of affirmative action in that sense, right? In the sense that when corporates were looking for jobs and whatever. So I have been extremely lucky.
I love that you own it. Many people with the same opportunities, they don't speak about it.
No, I'm extremely lucky. There are a whole lot of people who are much brighter than I am. They just happen to be born at
the wrong time.
The wrong time.
This is
podcast.
It's a podcast, man.
And it's just the lack of time, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, I live a fairly comfortable life. I'm not rich, but I'm able to look after the family and extended family and all of that. So as a result, the pressure on me to take money is less than it is it could be for many other people.
I understand.
So when those people choose money, I
want to ask another stupid question. I know I'm distracting you from your thing. This is important for some of us.
Yeah.
What amount of money do you think you'd need to be offered for you to understand that if I don't take this amount, I think I'm being threatened? So the people know your circumstances.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want to give you 500 million.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, that's a lot of money. You're like, oh no, they're not offering money.
Yes.
They understand that I don't need money. That's why this is actually a threat to say I'm either taking this money, which they know I don't need and don't want,
yes,
or they're going to then exercise coercion.
Yeah, so the decider for me will not be the amount of money, right? Probably I will even do it for free if someone said, okay.
You'd need to be threatened directly.
It's coercion.
No, you'd need to be threatened.
Directly and indirectly. So my kids,
I understand,
my family and all of that.
Okay.
But at that rate, money actually will not even be the deciding factor. Even if you said, I will stop,
Sorry, I distracted. I wanted to add a quick point. I wonder, I'm just thinking out loud, if having lots of children, e.g. Jacob Zuma, becomes another form of insurance policy. That if I can't have an off-grid home,
yes,
if money is not the thing, how else do I sort of preserve my legacy?
Yeah.
Let me have lots of kids elsewhere. One of them will catch a flame somewhere. So that even if you kill me, I'm hoping somewhere, somehow, I will have planted my genes somewhere to try and do something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that also, yeah. You wanted to say something? Are you good? So to recap, like what I said, Pen, is that the most influential factor is the one we don't see, right?
Or don't speak about.
Yeah, but even we spoke about, it's so invisible, it's in the dark, we will be frustrated because we will realize we don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when human beings are fascinating, when there is a lot we don't know, we end up overvaluing what we know.
That's correct.
So because there is the 95% that we cannot see, which is actually the driver of politics,
yes,
we're like, okay, let's rely on what we see, which is the 5%.
Ideology after ideology, drafting a constitution, a memorandum, we're having a meeting.
Socialism, capitalism.
Let's keep going, Baba.
Marxism.
Lenin.
All of these are rubbish ideas. I mean, whenever people say capitalism, socialism, no, they are. Like if you look at South Africa and say, what are the things that are so important to South Africa, we should do it either at a loss or for free.
Yes.
Right? People will not struggle to answer that. They'll say, I think education, I think health, and all of
electricity.
That. I've not asked you if you're a socialist or communist. I've just asked you a question.
Yeah. What do you think?
In South Africa, what do you think? Because there are certain things, they are called like multipliers. There are certain things, if we sorted them out, the benefit does not lie into that thing.
Correct.
It lies elsewhere.
Free internet.
So free internet.
Yeah. It's a multiplier.
It's a multiplier.
Proper leverage tool.
Proper leverage tool. I've just asked you a question and most South Africans will answer it.
Yeah.
But once I change it into what is your view on capitalism versus socialism versus communism?
We need a mix.
Now we are having an intellectual self-help, wanking session.
Self-help.
Like
what's your wanking session?
No, really,
let's go have a quick crepes.
Let's go,
crepes.
So then I wanna just then say, okay, we run into challenges because we don't see much of the 95. But we have some visibility, not on coercion, but on money.
Correct.
Right? Because in South Africa, they did this party funding thing where you need to declare, any donations more than 100K.
Yeah.
Right? So we have some, clearly, I don't think that's all the money.
It's definitely not. And it's still to this day voluntary.
It's still voluntary, right? But we have some visibility into, but I'm saying I will rather overvalue that than be confused by ideology. The little I'm able to see, yes, I might not be seeing everything about how Action SA is funded and DA, whatever, but the little I'm able to see, that tells me more in my mind than any debates on ideology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you start with the declarations by the parties, you can start to see the formations.
That's a fact.
You can start to see that, these people, they are all of simulated fights. It's for entertainment, right? It's to keep you going, right? Sure. But if you follow the money, it tells you where things are going in the future, right? So there are parties today that you might think are different, but if you just took the report of the funding and you find a common funder, that is more useful in telling you that they are likely to work together than anything they say about ideology. The rest is a circus. It's show business. If you want to spend your time discussing that, then fine, right? So if you use that, so Martin Marshall, Oppenheimer, whatever, then there are a lot of parties you can group together.
That's a fact.
Yeah, sometimes they have to throw in money to confuse the enemy. Sometimes they just okay. It's like how AfroForum said, no, but we have also represented some black family.
Yes.
You need that for
perception and public buy-in and those things, yeah.
Yeah, so that has a lot more value than the ideology.
You want to speak about the parties?
Yes.
Before you do, I want to ask not hypothetical. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Cyril Ramaphosa bank statements that are still locked to this day.
Yeah.
Do you believe that Johan Rupert's name is on there, number one? And number two, when they went to meet with Trump at the White House, do you think part of the conversations that Cyril had, even with Elon Musk, is with Johan Rupert? We'll bring in Starlink if you're happy to fund the work we're doing. I know these are sneaky questions and you're not the right person to ask, but
I don't know the answers, but in my mind, it doesn't really matter, right? Because, and I'll talk to why money is important and it will always come from someone, right?
Okay.
And there is competition among funders.
Okay.
Right? So even if it was Johan Rupert and all that, he is in a bidding process with others. Sometimes a bidder can be, and this is one of the things that the French got wrong in Burkina Faso, right? They were out, there was a higher bid. I'll come back to that. But
from another country.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter really where the money came from. All that matters is that there is money and that money will set the terms.
So you don't care if Johan Rupert funded Ramaphosa or if Elon Musk is being asked to fund like he did with Trump.
Yeah.
By Ramaphosa. You don't care. You're like, for me, that doesn't matter.
The money was always going to come from somewhere, right?
The reason I'm asking, at least for myself and others, would be then the interests, because you speak about capital interests.
Yes.
Woto Ramaphosa might end up in some way equity equivalent getting Starlink in, and we think it's for whatever reasons, but it's, look, you funded Trump.
Yeah.
I am the so-called head boy, Black Siyakolisi, but the real captain of the team is this guy, Johan Rupert.
Yeah.
So we just want to work with you because we realize you have an interest, and we want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes. You see, those are the less visible stuff, and sometimes you will see outcomes that say, oh, okay, I can see what this thing makes. But in reality, those who give money are looking after, their interest.
Yeah.
So we now have got a lay of the land, like in terms of, it's a year later since elections. Now we can use this model to try and make sense of what happened, during elections and where we are today, whether it's MK and Floyd leaving MK and all of that. And again, these are just views with trying to apply this logic. So to understand what happened in the elections, you need to understand that even as the ANC was losing legitimacy, part of the problem was opposition parties have not been able to reduce the level of votes that the ANC gets materially for another opposition party to take over, right? But if you look at the prior data points, the only other time the ANC materially lost voter support was because of breakaways. It was chunks taken by COPE, chunks taken by EFF, and all of that.
Yeah.
So it then makes sense that what happened in 2024 was that was an attempt at taking the biggest chunk out of the ANC.
Yeah.
Right?
By who?
The formation of the MK was... I don't know if there would have been any other breakaway. I'll tell you why. It's not because the charisma of the Msholozi. I'll tell you why just now. But if it is true that we are being prepared for a transition, that transition depends on the ANC getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
That's correct.
The main opposition has not been able to shift the ANC.
Being the DA.
The DA.
Yeah.
The only thing that has seemed successful is encouraging the breakaway of various parts of the ANC. That has been the most successful. It's quite telling that in an election where the main party moves from, let's say, is it 57% to 40%, the main opposition party hardly moved. Like it's like crazy that at the time when we are talking about the biggest drop in history by the main party, very little to nothing of that went to the main opposition party, right? DA did not get 5% of that. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So DA is in a bit of a plateau now where it cannot. So it has to find a way that ensures the ANC's support drops to a point where the DA is the biggest party, but not at more than 25%, because the loyal base of the DA is not going to get them to the 25%. Sure. And I said I'll explain why Zuma is crucial in what happened in 2024. Zuma is crucial because if you go back to history, the ANC has never ever won support in KZN without Zuma. Throughout the history of democratic elections, when Mandela was coming in and there were problems in KZN, who did they send? Uzuma.
Yeah.
When Mbeki was contesting for elections and they were worried about KZN, who did they send? Zuma. And of course, in his own presidency, it was still him. So we have this weird situation where one of the biggest political strongholds, I think at some point it was the strongest support base of the ANC. Sometimes there's a debate between that and Eastern Cape and whatever, right? The ANC has never been able to win that province without Zuma's involvement. So therefore, Zuma coming out, and this is why, like if you look at some of my conversation pre-elections and I was talking about Zuma 15% and whatever, right? There's a couple of things we got wrong, right? But for me, it just did not make sense mathematically. Why Zuma, almost one of the most popular people inside the ANC, will have a breakaway party that some of the analysts were saying this guy is not going to get like 5% or whatever. The maths just did not make sense, because when EFF came out and those guys were not the most popular at the time, they got around 5%. When Cope left, they were not the most popular at the time. They got slightly higher. How can Zuma, the person who has won ANC, KZN every time, come out anywhere lower than any of those parties? But let's apply the model in terms of what's happening with the ANC. So how would the whole thing of the various interest parties and MICE influence this?
Sorry, before you answer, we speak about a Premier League, Supra Mahumapilo from the Northwest, Didi Mabuz and Mpumalanga and Ace Magashule.
Yeah.
Could we argue that the way you're analyzing now, Uzuma would be something like that for KZN in the ANC back in the day?
I don't think he's in the same league as those people. I mean, I think we talk about the league, but that was the league under Zuma, if you think about it. So I just think he's unmatched.
These other guys fail to prove how influential they are in their provinces the way he has.
Absolutely. Okay. In their case, it could have been anyone who's funded. Zuma has been able to embed himself so much into the going-ons of KZN. Even in the middle of differences, whether it was with Mbeki and Zuma, they knew that there's only one man we can send.
Magashule struggled to do that.
These guys were, yes, they might have had money to have some local influence, but they were always seen as deployees and not necessarily people who are embedded. That's really my view.
Okay, sorry, applying MICE.
Let's apply MICE and the interest groups. So it is true that we know that a lot of the liberation movements were funded outside the country. Right? That's foreign interest, right? Like people don't just say we are giving you stuff.
There's rumors that the ANC was getting 100 million a year. During the struggle.
So,
by the way, from foreign interest.
Like different countries.
Right?
That's a lot.
So a lot of those countries were communist. And then, so large bloc being the Soviet Union, obviously.
Yes.
Like there are other communists that are not part of that bloc, like Cuba and all of those. But if you look for the common theme, character in the funders,
communist,
It was communist,
and
right?
from the Soviet Union, this was before the fall of the Berlin Wall.
That's before the fall of the Berlin Wall.
After it fell, they couldn't fund anymore.
Now that matters because that happens around 89. 89 is important because obviously it's just before 1990, right? So you have negotiations. You touched on this. You were reading one of the book by Peter
Tutoy, the ANC billionaires.
You see in there that the funding, the meetings that we are going to Lusaka, you just read that people went to London. I think people what do you mean people just went to London? Who funded the trip to London?
Yes.
Who arranged the meeting with the Queen? People you read this thing as if you can just walk there
just
and
snap
ask
your
for
fingers
time.
and let's have a meeting.
Yeah, because that's the naivety
with
of
very important people, by the
very
way.
important
very
people.
important people,
That's
very busy people.
Absolutely. That's the naivety of the childlike society we have. The question should be, okay, how did that happen?
Yes.
Right? Who did that? So that was then fun. Then I really truly believe, I'm not privy to negotiations. I think there would have been tough debates around, but we still believe in this. And then you have people like the Chris and all of those people who might still have been arguing for a different set of things.
Yeah.
The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1989 matters because now suddenly the source of funding was no more. So even if you have ideological debates and all of that, you have lost the funding.
There's no one to fund your
There's
ideology.
no one that's going to fund you. And I think before we call the ANC people sellouts, we need to understand that at that point, the funding dried up. There is no revolution that is not funded.
Please repeat that twice if you can, because people don't understand this. We can speak Julius, we can speak Traore, we can speak anyone, Gaddafi, Kagame. Every revolution is funded by someone somewhere.
Absolutely.
It's impossible to drive a real revolution without money. Without money.
It is impossible.
For weapons, for food, for transport, for anything.
It is impossible. It's not and this is why you mentioned Traore. That's the childlike appeal of here is a guy that forget Traore. The name could have been anyone, right? Money behind him will make him look good. It will profile him. It's money that profiles you, right? It could have been anyone. What we should be asking is who's funding that and what are their interests? And that's not because I'm saying that will make him a bad person. It's just the nature of how life works. The ANC is in the middle of these negotiations and then the funder collapses.
Yes.
So I think it will be harsh to say these people were supposed to come back from wherever. First of all, you don't have the funding to even stage a war. We were ready to fight. No, just calm down.
Yeah.
That requires so much money and resources no one had in a meaningful sense, right? So therefore, the compromises in many ways were necessary, right? I don't know too many sensible people who would have not looked for a compromise at that point in time, except if you take a martyrdom type approach that say, if we die, we die.
So be it.
Which would be stupid.
We can bring it back to home.
Which would be
you don't like Nigerians, you don't like Zimbabweans, you hate Pakistanis, you're unemployed, and these are the only people that will give you a job.
Absolutely.
Will you say no?
Will you say no? That's really the
question. But you hate them.
You hate them.
No, illegals, we don't. That same illegal guy here says,
Absolutely.
Now 30,000 a month. Are you going to say no?
There was no welcome funds. There was no, we're going to help you settle. There was no, we have a house for you there. So these people were supposed to just what? I don't know,
Well, the problem that makes some of us angry is just that they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us.
No, they will not tell you.
They won't tell us.
The book that I'm reading now, Matthew Posa, Truth to Power, I think.
Yeah.
He speaks about the whole idea of IFP back then in the early 89 until 94, 93.
Yeah.
The idea that they were so strong That's why they were like, look, man, who's funding these guys? Because we as the ANC can't even fight the IFP in these hostels. The amount of guns that they have does not make sense. We couldn't even fund them as the ANC, our own soldiers, to fight these guys in the IFP.
Yeah.
Then where the hell are they getting money?
Exactly. That's why now they're like, look, man, there's someone funding these guys. Because we come from the MK, but our weapons are not enough.
No,
that's where it came out that they were being assisted by the apartheid government.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which only makes sense. And to what you're saying, don't be emotional, chief.
Don't be just like...
Who's going to fund you? What's your ideology?
Yes.
And if Optelias are saying, we're trying to do this for the Zulu people.
Yes.
Russia maybe is not helping us. America is not helping us. Israel, Iran, it doesn't matter. The apartheid government, who are the incumbents of this same country, are saying, say, we'll give you guns and what.
Yeah.
And you're like, these guys are getting, we've got sick rent.
Yes. And the ideology is just for show. It's show business. It does not even have to necessarily be true, right? Like it's an idea you can sell, you know? So the money has to come from there, right? Then obviously they took the money. You know, they were funded. I'm not going to call them sellouts. I feel like they did what they needed to do.
I'll call them sellouts, but I understand.
You know, maybe they are, maybe they are not. And I think one of if you then fast track to, we are at that point. Now, under normal circumstances, it will be so easy to defend the ANC. Right? Under normal circumstances, you have a party that takes over a broke government, right? Like really broke government.
In serious debt.
And of course, in the middle of that, in the negotiations, they took money from the World Bank, which also did not really help the cause. I'm not too sure if it was World Bank or IMF. There's an important loan that comes with the terms of the loans that essentially sets the tone for what happens there. You have a society where the bulk of the budget has been used to look after a minority. And then you have fancy suburbs. You know, I think people also just think like a tar road. When you build a tar road, all tar roads are the same. The tar roads in the suburbs were done for the expected traffic in that.
Correct.
Right? They were not built for the traffic that came post-94.
Including our highways.
Including the highways.
They weren't built for a lot of vehicles.
So part of the destruction of infrastructure is not so much a function of inept government.
Or the quality of the infrastructure.
No.
It's the load.
It's the load.
Yeah.
The infrastructure was not built for the load. Yeah. You know, and then you see that also with ESCOM, where the ANC said, okay, we need to give people something. And they went on crazy with the connections. We've connected so many homes and all of that or whatever. And there was no money to invest in generation. Yeah. They kept on pushing the generation envelope further and further and further. And until, of course, we end up with load shedding, right? Shame they tried. They connected water. They built schools and all of that.
They did amazingly well in those first years.
The backlog of the ANC was just too huge for anyone to try and solve it. And we did not have money for. So if you think about it, if a country has got 100 billion, and let's say 95 billion of that goes to a minority, 5 billion goes to a majority.
Yes.
One of the immediate challenges you have is I still have 100 billion. What the hell should happen? Because the road in the minority needs to be maintained, but the majority says, I don't even have a road.
I don't have a road at all. And you are maintaining these roads with 95 billion.
Yes.
Now you want to shift and build from scratch.
You are not saying I'm sitting with reserves that I have not been spending. It's being spent. It's in the public schools. I'll come to Bella and all of this nonsense. So it's being used. It gives quality education in that. So, but now you've got the majority that are saying, so what's up? Like, what's going on? All right? So where are you going to get the money? Then we go into these debates. It's going to be loans and whatever. But in reality, you have a problem. You have to take this 100 billion and spread it as thin as possible. What they tried to do was to give the majority something.
Yeah.
Be it RDP, be it whatever. But what that does, where you used to spend the 95 billion, things starts to fall apart.
Yes.
Not only because you are shifting the money, but you're also adding load in there because you're saying these are no longer African schools.
Yes.
Right? So no one is happy. Right? In the middle of that, this is one of the things about the NC has done a lot of stuff. As I say, they took me to school and many of others, they created affirmative action that got us jobs and whatever. That's why I'm saying, like I used to say, the ANC is like the uncle that took you through your studies but abused you.
Yes.
Like you don't know, like it leaves you so confused.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not, it's like,
I get right?
It's like I'm not here without, I can't be here without, there's no path that gets me here without the uncle.
Yes.
But fuck, man, this guy abused me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the trauma we are going through. And we'll rather say, yeah, it was a bad uncle. But when we go home, we're like, Mara, uncle was a meal. You know?
That's cognitive dissonance.
That's like a serious cognitive dissonance, right? What becomes worse than to fast track to why we are here, the ANC is also, by a long mile, the most democratic party we have in South Africa.
By a long mile, maybe even on the continent. It's something I thought about, I think, last week. When you look at, maybe I'm going to derail what you're going to say. Please continue.
It's by a long mile the most democratic party in, and what I mean by democratic party, if you are able to either influence or buy the votes, you will likely, you have a chance of coming up at the top.
Yeah.
It does not have a central, untouchable high command. It used to. But by the way, that's also the weakness in the ANC. The weakness in the ANC is the democracy in it.
That is correct.
So up until Mbeki, let's talk post-90 because it gets complex before 90 because people were presidents for like 30 years, 40 years, whatever. Sure. They changed that to match the government term, which is part of the problem. Sure. I think the ANC could have gone with you are a president for 10 years, even though the government presidency is 5 years.
Yes.
What it would have at least bought us, it would have at least bought us stability in the ANC.
Now, every president doesn't finish their term.
They never finish their term. And every 5 years, you are defending your life. Like, so already, before you even start, you already have to think, am I going to have a second term?
Yeah.
The likes of Tambo and all of that were the source of wisdom. This is why you will hear, if you go and read, they'll say Mandela was elected uncontested. First term. And then Mbeki was elected uncontested. There's always contest. The reason why you will hear they were uncontested is that because some big men in there managed that to say we cannot have a contest, right?
Internally.
Now, unfortunately, ORs and them died, right? OR, I don't think he saw 90.
He passed away in 93.
93. He didn't see 94.
Same with Krisani, you know. So the ANC lost some of the really interesting characters in 93, right? I'm going to speculate about causes and all of that. But anyway, these people go uncontested. Now, Mbeki was supposed to be building the next control command group that retains that in the ANC to give it structure. He did not do that. As a result, by the time 2007 in Polokwane came, the ANC got the taste of democracy. Because for the first time, we had these elections inside the party where a person can come up and say, no, I have not been nominated as the next person. I'm putting my hand up to say, I want to challenge for presidency. And we don't know, you need to keep in mind, these things have to be funded. Who funded that, all of that, or whatever, right? Sometimes when we talk about the Guptas later on, what estate capture, which was a show business, is the funding often starts early, right? You don't see it, but unfortunately what we don't see, we think is not happening.
That's correct.
Right? So since then, the ANC has lost any form of central command. Anything goes.
Sure.
And that's partly, so in a way, this is what I'm saying, strengths are weaknesses.
Sure.
If you value democracy, this is also the cost of democracy.
We know who's going to be the next president probably now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
within the ANC, sorry.
So the ANC is prone to corruption inherently, almost by design. So there is no path for the ANC, for as long as it's this democratic, there is no path that does not involve corruption. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because what democracy does is it creates uncertainty of tenure. You don't know how long you will be there.
That's correct.
So you go and take people who don't have options in life, you put them in very powerful roles, but you cannot even guarantee how long they will be there. Sure. What should happen?
Those people are going to try and create pipelines so that they can maybe make money, even when they're gone.
Any human being will do that.
Yeah.
Any human being will do that.
I might not survive, so I need to cushion my life.
Because anyone can come in. People are like, so you think we've been all campaigning for you? No, man. This is your time. Do what you need to do.
Sure.
Get out.
Get out.
So the biggest ridicule will be if you come out and you have not looked after yourself. Because people will say to you,
you're stupid. I wanted to say, the reason I say the ANC is the most democratic party is because, number one, it's very old.
Yeah.
Number two, it's the one party that's been able to withstand different characters.
Yes.
There's almost no other party that lasts beyond a character. We can even speak DA. Can a DA survive beyond a Helen Zille?
Yeah.
We haven't asked that, or Tony Leon as an example. So political parties that can have Mandela, Mbeki, Zuma, Ramaphosa, and keep going.
Yeah.
That has to be democracy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty brilliant. I wanted to ask if you think Cyril is doing the same, but where others, let's say a Zuma, as a hypothetical, would place people so that those people can make money for his comfort and any type of power.
Yeah.
Ramaphosa and maybe some of the others are thinking, like the apartheid guys before us, let's rather privatize aspects.
Yes.
We're not going to put people in state-owned enterprises so that we eat.
Yes.
We'd rather privatize into our holding companies.
Absolutely.
So that if EFF, MK comes into power, they have to consult us being capital.
Yes, and this is why I'm saying then they give you crap to repeat. Privatization is the best thing, free economy and all of that. Yeah. And that's why I said to you earlier, if you look at the situation in South Africa, what would you say are the things we should do at a loss or for free? Many South Africans will answer that. That is not the space of free enterprise.
Yes.
It's not, because free enterprise is driven by profit, right?
100%. So, IPPs.
Absolutely.
We're now going to sell you electricity.
So because the economy is not growing, the next space to grow profits is by taking over things that used to be done by government.
Yes.
That way you provide the next opportunity for profit growth.
Correct.
Right? So it's not complicated. But all of this thing, everything needs to be funded, right? Then, to your point about Helen Zille or Tony Leon, I think sometimes we put too much into personalities. This is why I keep on coming back to look for the underlying thing. I think John Steenhuisen, before this role in DA, he was selling dog shampoo or something like that. That was his business. Now, it's not even a dig at him, right? Sure. But they have been able to cleanse him, wash him, put him up. And this is one of the reasons I had lost my mind with that whole critique of penny, whatever. If Prince Mashele wanted to, he could have also just included, John Steenhuisen in there, right?
By penny, you're speaking about a member of parliament of Konvo who speaks broken English.
Yeah.
And people laughing at that.
Ask him what he wants to say in his language.
Yes.
Yes, if you genuinely were interested in his views, ask him in his language.
But Penny, to be honest, should have spoken his own language. That's what I've said before about soccer players.
Yeah.
Because the rugby players, the white Afrikaans, when they get interviewed in English, they answer in Afrikaans.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why, if you're being asked, if you
No
understand
one
the
was going to
question,
understand him, Akir. Maybe that's where there's the problem.
But those that understand, the people that so-called support MK will understand that, no, that's what they liked about Zuma. That he just switched into Zulu. Yeah. And white people are like, we can't understand. It's all good. Yeah. Good shot.
Yeah.
I see.
So the long and short of it is, Pen, the things that need to be, as an adult, like the things that need to be done in South Africa are complex, are hard, they will take long.
Are you closing off?
No, on the ANC. I want to pull it together so that we can talk about the other parties.
Before you speak about the other parties, because I wanted to, you spoke about the opposition needing the ANC to lose power.
Yeah.
And potentially the DA running the country at 25%.
Yeah.
I was asking you, who wants the ANC to lose power? Of which maybe the answer ends up being Capital, maybe.
Capital.
But I also wanted to ask if you believe the ANC itself has taken a strategic decision to break itself up, and we don't see it. When I was looking up here, I was looking up Standard Oil, which is J.D. Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Arguably the wealthiest man of all time in modern history, of which Mansa Musa maybe is in other history.
Yeah.
Standard Oil, when it became too big of a monopoly, got broken up into Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, Conoco. The Rothschilds, who owned banking, would split up in the same. And maybe in their wisdom, if they have wisdom, whether it's them or advisors, would tell the ANC, look, guys, if you rule forever, this is what happens with political parties that last beyond 30 years.
Yeah.
They start being taken over and then people come in and the wrong people will be there.
Yeah.
We advise that you guys split, which would explain why, even his angriest, Julius still has a soft spot for the ANC.
Yeah.
And even now with his so-called anger, Jacob Zuma still saying he's still an ANC member till he dies, to say, we see what's coming.
Yes.
We want to preserve the ANC, even if it is not in its current form.
Yeah.
We will preserve it as a minority ANC with a DA government in the GNU, but we've also got an MKP, we've got an EFF. Don't worry, we're still positioned some way. So that even if you see John Steenhuisen as president of the country, we still pull levers somewhere. And this is actually the graduation of where we were meant to go anyways.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, this is all speculative,
This is all speculative,
It's possible. But for me, I would say for that to happen, you need a strong central command, right? So, for example, if you had to do that inside a DA together with the Freedom Front, because I also think those are just same parties, but pursuing different audience and all of that. You need a holding command. You need a holding higher command. The ANC has got, does not have the holding higher command that you used to have before it became the fully democratic institution. Like in the ANC, it's genuine. Like, Helen Zille says, I was out of politics, I came back and whatever. And then she then says, oh yeah, then I had to convince people to vote me back. No, you came back. You decided to come back.
That's
you
correct.
came back, right?
That's correct.
So it's just like, it's that simple, right? Because there is some form, I really think there's a form of command that is prone to, is the one that chooses who comes up, who does not come up. I just feel like the ANC, where it is now, it does not have a holding central command to be able to make those type of decisions.
Don't you think they have one, but it's not visible to us? That's my question.
I think there might be a command outside, but that command outside, I'm saying it needs to pitch this thing to an internal command structure.
Because why would Zuma not challenge the ANC in KZN, where they got 45%? He's fine with that. Why would he not want to leave the ANC? Why would... For all intents and purposes, Umkhonto weSizwe is not even challenging the ANC in parliament. They're quiet. It's almost like, just keep quiet, it's fine. And you're like, why? And it's like, we can't destabilize the ANC. That's not our job here. Otherwise, they so-called come together with the EFF and they punish the DA, but they're not.
But the thing is, the ANC still has massive residual value. It will be crazy to distance yourself from the ANC.
Even if you guys have 45% in KZN, to say, at least let's use KZN as a base.
No, I think there were like interesting things. Honestly, for me, one of the worst things about what has happened post-elections is the fact that MK is not running KZN, even after getting 45%.
Because they'd be doing what the DA is doing in the Western Cape.
When the next party, I think, is in the 20s or something like that. It's a ridiculous margin, right?
They should be running like the Western Cape and say, I want to be D8, Western Cape. Look at what we do in KZN.
Absolutely. So I think that will happen, so
okay.
I don't know. So the ANC is, then has to be cut down to a different size. And then that brings us to the MK. The MK got 15%, amazing results.
Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely amazing. But, in some of our offline chats, Pen, I said to you that working with the model we've been working with now of various interest groups and mice, the MK would have been funded heavily, right? The money does not come from members or whatever, any of those things. So running a political party is very expensive. What we still don't know is who funded them, right? I'm not even here to pretend to know, but again, I want us to be careful about tearing ourselves apart on ideology arguments, which will be the 5% just because we can't see the 95%.
Yes.
Sometimes this is the beauty of science. The beauty of science is I don't know.
Yes.
Science does not try. Science says, okay, there is this question.
Yes.
Do we know? Do we not know? And it says, we don't know. Then the next question is, what do we want to know?
Yes.
And what will it take to know?
That's pure science, by the way.
Yeah. So
not the so-called social media science we have today, where we say it's a scientific fact.
It's a scientific.
Science says we don't know.
We don't know.
The least we know is this. What we don't know, then we assume. But that's all.
Yes. All I can say is MK would have had to be funded, and we do not know who funded it and why. All right? We don't know. And until we know whether that came through coercion or it was just money or it appeals to ego, the ideology is a bit of nothing about nothing.
That's correct.
I'm not really going to spend time there. So this thing still have to play out. This is why I'm saying that the South African parties, even where they disagree and fight so much, one of the things they never dare reveal is I know who funded.
Yes.
We had a bit of a glimpse where Floyd was saying there was money from Morocco. And
that's correct.
What?
There have been rumors about Iran.
We
don't know if Russia's involved.
But now
the Guptas or the ANC itself.
But this is the first time someone comes up immediately after, out of being the senior leader in the party and he says this was to get money from
Morocco was willing to send money.
Like what? Because there is no declaration of money from Morocco
or Malawi. Push it from where? Malawi.
Yeah, so
you know what you guys are saying so interesting with how the MK behaves in Parliament. Hey, it's almost like they stand for nothing. If you look at Zuma has got some sort of an ideology. When you think of him, you can box him to say he's a Leninist, he's a capitalist, he's a whatever. You can actually box.
He's a socialist for black people, transformation, RIT.
So it's crazy how in Parliament we're not getting any of those type of thinking. And it's scary that for a man like Zuma to think the way he thinks, but his party in Parliament is not doing that, it raises a lot of questions.
No, it's because we are debating 5%.
Noise.
We are debating noise.
Even though you've painted that the 5% is a huge part of your character.
No, it's not a huge part of your character. We overvalue it because that's what we see.
Okay. No, so what Utebs is saying is, if that's the game, they should be making more noise in that to distract, to be like, we want the land, we want the economy. And you're like, oh, okay, MKP is doing what we expect him to do. Zuma sent, but they're not even doing that, which then makes you ask, what are they actually doing?
No, but that's what I'm saying is because, so what if money does not want them to say that? That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying money now is over the ideology now? Because
no, it has always been.
If we were to find the answer to that, it would answer that.
Help us understand that.
But you do understand that where I'm coming from is that when we think of Zuma, we think of ideology over the money aspect.
Yes.
The character we've seen for the past 30 years.
Maybe the money he was getting at the time informed that.
Informed ideology.
Is saying that.
Yes.
That what we know about Zuma could have been informed by the money. Same with Julius.
No.
The reason Julius is because maybe the money is fine. But maybe the money they're getting now is saying, we know you don't do that. That's not the script we want. Here's a new one.
Zuma was president for 2 terms. Right?
Someone said he's had power within the ANC at senior level for 30 years.
For 30 years. Yeah. So if we wanted to judge him on what he has been able to do in alignment with the ideology,
there's enough portfolio of evidence.
We've had that, so let's calm down, right? So we need to understand that. DA is being funded by big business, obviously. Their ideology is kind of like the idea that, let's forget everything that has happened. They might not frame it that way.
Yes.
But essentially what they want to say is let's forget everything.
Let's focus on merit, free market.
Right?
We're now all equal. We're now all fine. Get on with it.
And it's a bit like a religious argument because, if you are not a believer, you are a horrible demon, whatever, satanic, whatever. You cannot be nothing.
Yes. You have to pick a side.
You have to be, Soren Kierkegaard wrote this book, Either Or.
Book?
Yeah, Either Or. There's a Danish philosopher called Soren Kierkegaard. I'll send you the name on WhatsApp. You're always forced into this either or stuff, but you can dismantle the argument. I saw something that was talking about meritocracy. I don't want to spend too much. And again, DA is not a bad party. It is looking after the interests. You have to keeping in mind the interests. DA has been an excellent representative of established white interests.
Correct.
They've done really well, either in parliament, in courts, and all of that. And they don't necessarily owe it to anyone to be neutral, because neutral is a bad position to be in, So they've done well. So that's why I'm always careful, because I always say some of these things are not out of morality, but they're out of envy. I envy that they have been so successful in preserving the rights of a very small minority.
Yes.
Overly dominated. I mean, I think white is 7% or something like that. It's insane.
It is.
I was watching something on meritocracy, because again, meritocracy creates this idea that if you do not believe in merit, you're looking for handouts. But actually, I don't know too many people who don't believe in merits, but someone summed it up well to say what we call meritocracy is made up of aptitude, effort, exposure, and investment. Right? So when they make you argue about meritocracy, they focus on aptitude and effort. In fact, they don't even focus on aptitude. They give themselves the aptitude, which is really why I was asking about Rob Hessoff and all of that. He will not want to say, challenge me to an aptitude test. He will rather want to take it as a given that he's got aptitude, right? Then they say, no, but you're not applying enough effort. So it's aptitude and effort, right?
Aptitude, effort.
But what they don't want to talk about is investment. And investment matters, right? So Rob, goes on to say, I was born inside wealth and all of that.
Yeah.
But actually, he does not see why that wealth contributes to him thinking he's got aptitude.
And where the wealth comes from.
Yeah, and where the wealth comes from.
Yeah.
It's like insane.
It's not insane, but it's insane to us.
It's insane to us. If you think about, even for us, I am buying my kids meritocracy. I'm busy buying my kids meritocracy. I'm buying it because I can put them in a particular school. I can get tutors for them. I was saying to someone, we even buy our kids a good smile because I can put what is it? They call bracelets. What are they?
Braces.
I can put braces on them. I'm buying them a smile. They are going to show up somewhere as having a beautiful smile.
What a beautiful smile, but it was bought.
I bought it. Imagine a child that has got just aptitude and effort, but no investment. You know, their teeth are all bad and layered and whatever. And someone says, smile. I interviewed them. They didn't strike me. I don't know what it is. There was this, I don't know what it is. You buy merit. This is one thing that, as I say, a lot of white people don't understand. What they think is this debate on you believe in merit or you don't. There are a lot of smart people, hardworking people. But what their biggest sin in life is there was no investment. So we are not saying take dumb people and put,
Sure.
And again, they use the ANC as the basis. It's interesting how the ANC suddenly becomes, there are bad people in the ANC is bad. Very quickly it becomes black people are
Of course.
Like,
the ANC.
Oh, how did we get there? I am trying to get into the ANC and help it. I can't go in. I have the skills. So how did these people who have blocked skills from coming in suddenly becomes, no, it must be black people. Then raw person started to say, they can't match us. Like, the fuck? Like, what do you...
Are you still going to speak, or when you add investment, you're including exposure? Because you mentioned those four.
Exposure. Because I always struggle with the combination, because you can have exposure. So if you look at one of the things that interesting in the rest of the continent is actually if you are in Ghana and in West Africa and you are there around Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso and whatever, out of necessity, a lot of people on the continent are very comfortable with the idea of going to another country, which gives them exposure.
Yes.
They might not necessarily have the investment. So one of the reasons why South Africans are considered to be so closed-minded and all of that is actually because there is a lot of generations who grew up in a closed, the idea of I can just take my chances and go to DRC. I don't even need documents. You must just understand, it takes it's a massive, crazy leap of faith.
That's correct.
To say, I'm just going to leave, I'll see what happens.
Pakistan.
There. What happens
And Pakistan is far from here.
Absolutely. So there's benefits. Exposure can give you a level of being considered to have merit, right? By virtue of awareness, you know what's going on. Travel contributes toward exposure.
100%.
Unfortunately, most times exposure requires investment.
That's correct.
But I think there's also exposure that is just out of necessity. I'm not going to die here type thing.
Yes.
So I don't want to fully discount that. But in South Africa, the difference between people who call themselves to be meritocracy and all of that is largely investment. This is why I'm saying they don't want aptitude tests. They say effort. The hardest working people are slaves. Right? So if you wanted to measure people on effort, follow the domestic workers of South Africa who wake up at 4 a.m. and they're not only cleaning the houses, they are raising children, sometimes having to breastfeed them just to stop them from crying, right? So don't tell me about effort, right? And if you wanted to tell me about aptitude, let's set up a standard measure of aptitude. Let's say this is the aptitude test or whatever. I can tell you now without fear of contradiction that by virtue of most people in South Africa being black, most people who will dominate aptitude by natural distribution will be black.
Yeah.
Don't make up nonsensical aptitude. I think I told you, I don't know if I told you this last time, that one of my favorite bankers had this thing about how he was given a job by the Dibbenars and whatever. He says they asked him a question. They said to him, 2 golfers are playing a game, right? player 1 scores and the score is equal. Then player 1 scores again, the score is still equal. Then player 2 scores and the score is still equal. Player 1 scores, what is the score? Right? Now, he says this question is what got him the job to essentially over time be groomed to be the CEO of one of the banks. Now, if I asked you that question, like, what's your answer? Like, what?
Are you saying this is Lori Dibner? Someone else?
No, someone else was appointed. He was telling the story about how those guys ended up saying, you are the guy.
You are the guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the question they asked him. And do you know what is the answer to that question?
No.
The answer to that question is the score is still equal. And this is why. To answer that question, you need to understand the scoring system in tennis.
Golf?
No, in tennis.
Okay.
The golf player thing is just a diversion.
Distraction.
Yes. In tennis, if you score, let's say, the tennis score is 15, 30, 40, I think, right? If you score and you are both on 40, the score is equal.
Yeah.
And it's called a juice. If you score, if one player scores, the score is still 40, but that player has got an advantage.
Correct.
Right? The score is still 40.
Yes.
If player 2 scores, he removes the advantage, the score is still 40.
Yes.
So the only way you can answer that question and show you've got aptitude and merit, you need to understand the scoring system in tennis.
When were you ever exposed to tennis?
Under what circumstances growing up in Simaning Hamadlala would I have ever given a correct answer to that?
Sure.
And that question...
Now, Konvo, if they said golf, you'd already be out. Because in your head, you're like, I don't know anything about golf.
Already you are out.
I don't know anything about golf.
Out by just the introduction.
Yeah.
Because even you will start to doubt yourself. Oh shit, was I supposed to understand the scoring system in golf? And in fact, even if you're looking in the wrong place.
I see that question is difficult in Fetu. Obviously, we watch tennis, we get it. But it's like, already you are benchmarking me about my social status.
Yes.
Who are my friends?
That's exactly what it is. Do you even understand English while they're asking
the question? Do you even understand that?
I wanted to say this because I meet a lot of clever blacks. Clever blacks, us, annoy me a lot. And a lot of them will say, but I don't come from a rich white family. I'm black.
Yes.
And the thing is, the investment doesn't have to come from your black family.
No.
It couldn't come from a rich white family in the form of a bursary.
Yeah.
And this is also one of the reasons why I'll make it racial, even though it's not necessarily racial.
Yeah.
This is why white people who want to groom black people for whatever it is will put them in white spaces. Where by the time Siyakolisi finishes matric at Grey High, he's been exposed to tennis and golf and English.
Absolutely.
So when you get interviewed as a black guy and you're like, hey, bro, I don't understand. I was picked on merit. I'm black. So what about you? And you're like, but Ntwana, you invested in Bayongamla.
Absolutely.
Mina, where I come from, we don't have golf and tennis and my grasp of English. But you're saying because you're black, they tick the box. But you serve their system. Mina, I came in with... I want to go and help the village or the township I come from.
Yeah. So even if I had the highest IQ and the most hardworking black person, higher than this person, I would not have been appointed.
Not at all. We need to shut it down. 5-10 minutes.
I would not have been appointed.
Hectic.
So don't be taken down a crazy path by the idea that you don't have the aptitude, you don't have the whatever. It's done on purpose. It's done
intentionally.
Until we invest, whatever that we, plural we, is whatever, right? Don't fall for the bullshit about you don't have aptitude, you don't have this, you don't have merit. Merit requires investment. I always say this. In South Africa, we don't have a land problem. We've got an investment problem. There's plenty land in South Africa. It just needs to be developed and all of that and whatever.
Sorry, before you close off, this is also one of the problems with the Jacob Zuma character and why when he inspires Julius as well, when it inspires so many black people, it's a problem because unlike your Tito Mboweni, Thabo Mbeki, Trevor Manuel, Jacob, number one, as far as we know, formally didn't finish high school, didn't get a tertiary qualification, wasn't handpicked by white people to go and serve some time at Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, didn't go to Harvard Business School for a couple of weeks, and so you call him in and you ask him the golf tennis question.
Yeah.
I guess he's known for chess. He's gonna be like, mina ngazukugida nokutula, and he's like,
yes,
look at this dropout.
Yeah.
This guy obviously doesn't know nothing. And then we clever blacks become the same people to also criticize.
Absolutely.
This guy doesn't even understand numbers. Now we're laughing at him. He can't even pronounce numbers.
Absolutely. We want to judge the fish on its ability to climb trees.
Facts.
Competing with monkeys. That's an example. So to understand again, so let's try and put it all together, Pen. And I said, because the EFF, because after if we speak about ANC, MK, DA, we left with EFF. I think just briefly on EFF, I think EFF, in my view, it was not meant to be a party that lasted this long. I think it was a way of saying, I want to show you guys that, and then you're going to have to need me at some point. And the fact that they have not needed, the ANC has not needed or has not shown to need the EFF is probably one of the most frustrating things because
at some point they were meant to be the kingmaker.
You were supposed to be the kingmakers, and then the ANC will say, we really need you, and that has not happened. It must be a very frustrating space to be in. Very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
I think similarly with MK, I think there might have been a notion as we're gonna make these people need us. I think that has not happened. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And I feel sorry for Floyd and them. And
you feel sorry? Maybe they're also being deployed.
Maybe they're being deployed. So anyway.
Zuma once said in front of everyone how much of an intelligent politician who Floyd is. And we don't know if that was some type of understanding of who Floyd told him something would say, let's move like this, let's do this. Or Floyd is like, actually, Julius and myself and Ndlozi decided to move like this. Or we don't know. We speculate, of course. But
so now, as I say, pull it all together. We are being prepared for a transition. That transition is going to be a lot more DA-like. And it will be there. I don't want to say DA because, as I say, there are many DAs out there. They just don't call themselves that. It will be more that. And as I say, people often think transition is what happens. We wake up tomorrow, right? You forget that today a minister of the DA is running Home Affairs.
Yes.
You forget that a minister of the DA is running Agriculture.
Yes.
Minister of DA is running ICT. The transition is in motion. Education. Those are people will say, those were not key portfolios, whatever. They're thinking about the output portfolios, the spending money portfolios. They're not thinking about the input. These are very strong input portfolios. Yes. They inform what ends up largely happening with the output. So that is in play.
And this is a function of capital.
This is a function of capital.
Never mind ideology.
No, forget ideology, because this construct will retain a level of stability and some level of legitimacy for a period of time. Now, I said, the rest of the things is noise. Bella, NHI,
expropriation,
all of that, expropriation is show business. Is once in a while we cannot be seen to be docile. We must give you something, right? Now the NC says we did this expropriation thing on NHI, whatever. They still have not allocated funds for any of those things. And you want to tell me, this is a real discussion about stuff. Bella, the arguments about Bella are actually very interesting because in many ways, the protection of Afrikaner culture is a form of affirmative action. Affirmative action was meant to be protection of minorities. In South Africa, we've got a weird situation where the majority needs protection from the minority.
Yeah.
Those are not African schools. We must stop calling them African schools. They are public schools that were set up. It's just that they happen to be in communities that historically were African. Those are public schools. I still get so frustrated that my kids have to learn Afrikaans. I don't want my kids to learn Afrikaans. I've got nothing against Afrikaans, right? But in terms of investing in their merit,
yes.
I'm trying to invest into a language that can make them global citizens. And it's not Afrikaans. Even one of the celebrities, who's the lady who said Charlize Theron, coming from there, said, there must be a couple of these people. But why do I have kids today studying Afrikaans? It's not because I chose Afrikaans. It's because I chose a school in my community. But that school in my community says the curriculum says the kids need 2 languages.
Yes.
And the most invested in languages in these schools are English and Afrikaans.
Yes.
They, of course, Mrs. Buthelezi, who randomly is the entire faculty of Zulu. It's Zulu or whatever, And then they're like, by the way, you don't have to take Afrikaans. You can take Zulu. Like, if Mrs. Buthelezi is off, the whole curriculum is off for that. I hate it. Right? So these are not Africans. And if we are saying we need to protect them and preserve them as such, we are asking for an affirmative action intervention. And it cannot be at the expense of all of us.
But you can't blame Afrikaners for that.
I can't blame them. I'm not blaming, by the way, I have not blamed any of the parties.
No, forget the parties.
All of them.
You have to blame the black people who are passionate about their languages for not doing the same.
That was not done by you quickly go back to government because the reason, so the investment in Afrikaans was not individual Afrikaans communities who decided that.
It was government.
There's a government, an Afrikaans government that says this is going to be. Even today, by the way, in the middle of democracy of the government run by the ANC, all laws come in 2 languages, English and Afrikaans. So the real official languages of government, the rest is
just for
stocking fillers, is vibes. It's the laws. Page 1, you see English. What you think is page 2 is page 1 of Afrikaans.
That's the black government that black people are voting for.
That's the black government.
Yeah.
So that's the reality of where we are.
So we can get angry and call them public schools and what, but it's not us. There's people there.
There's people there
who are meant to do the right things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's one party, and I said it's a special case, right? I think so. In the space of ideology, there's this idea behind what you say and what you do. And I've said this before. The ANC says something and almost does nothing, right? Or does something that has got nothing to do with what they've said.
Sure.
The DA says something, and the reality of how the party is being governed is very different.
Sure.
I still think and I think the same thing, I'll argue the same thing with MK, the same thing with EFF. When you talk ideology, so in the whole space of diplomacy and all of that, they talk about track 1 and track 2. Track 1 is the visible part. This is the visible, this is what you say. Track 2 is what actually really goes on. I think of the top 4 parties, there is such a big gap between what we see, which is what they say and all of that, and what actually goes down. We forget that after elections, Julius calls for friends to say, hey, we are going to union buildings, guys. Don't ask me these questions about who's going to defend our rights. It was a media briefing. It's there, right? Can distance himself from it. It's there. It was, hey, guys, no, don't even ask me those things, right? It is our time to go into government and, hey, guys, if you're looking for me, look for me in the union building. In one press briefing, he threw away everything he supposedly stood for, right? So ANC is bad, economic freedom. So for many parties, there is such a big gap between what they say and what actually happens.
Sure.
The party, I think, if you measure that as a measure of credibility, I would argue they might not be my favorite cup of coffee.
Yes.
The most credible party we have today in South Africa is PA.
Gaten McKenzie.
Not because I agree with them. I don't.
Yeah.
Right? But because if you measure credibility as the gap, the narrowest gap between what you say and what you do, the most credible party we have in South Africa today is
not to say that there isn't a gap, but to say that the gap is smaller than other
parties. It's the smallest. They are, I genuinely believe they are the party that what they do is the closest to what they say. The rest, don't crack your head thinking you can make sense of it, not make sense of it. And maybe the last point, what does it mean for the future? Now, these are adult conversations. They are complex. I can talk about what's good about the ANC, what's bad about the ANC, what DA has done well. That's the nature of being an adult. EFF is very important for South Africa because we need to continue to have the canary that someone has to make noise about something. I don't want us to lose the EFF. I don't want us, but you have to then say, okay, this is what is positive. This is what's, I think if we lost the EFF, South Africa will be set back a couple of steps back, right? So we need that. We need the trouble rouser. We need all of that. Let's not get overwhelmed and think there's going to be simple solutions. To conclude on the Traore thing, this is what I'm saying. That's just childlike fantasy, and we understand why it has appeal. The idea of a big man who comes and makes it all go away and solve it. Very appealing to a child mind, right? The real solutions to our problems are in this very messy, very complicated adult space. Unfortunately, if you went to South Africa today and wanted to tell them about this complexity, you are not going to get votes.
Sadly.
Yep. So that's where we'll conclude it. But we have to keep trying.
A lot of people on social media believe that I've got some issue with Traore, which is absolutely incorrect. And I want to address that very quickly. I'm a big fan of Ibrahim Traore. I'm inspired by him. If people watch the videos I've been making about him since even before last year, I happened to be in the same space with him in St. Petersburg in Russia when I was invited there for an Africa-Russia conference.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to explain to people who I know struggle with comprehension.
This is where you should say, who invited you?
Hey, who invited you?
This is, you see, we let this thing go. I was invited to Russia.
Hey, Mr. Mice, where are you?
Guys, this is how it happens.
By the way, I've been invited to Israel as well. Yeah. In the last year or so. You can't admire Ibrahim Traore and be an ambassador for democracy. That's all I'm trying to explain to people. So when you speak about our constitution and we must vote in parliament, that's not how we got into power. Yeah. Number one. People need to understand that. I'm a fan of some level. Sorry?
They block that. It's the craziest thing ever.
I'm personally not a fan of democracy. I've said that many times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to the same people, Gucci, you're struggling. You say, Manje Pen, if you like Traore, why don't you vote for Julius? I'm like, Baba. Traore is not Julius. He didn't go and campaign with Tama Perez and then people went and voted for him.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is you can't say democracy to constitution and maybe be anti-violence and guns and then also like with Traore. You must pick a struggle.
Yeah.
The second thing to what you're saying is, and people also won't understand this, and they'll say it's because I don't like Traore. Rubbish. Traore is no different to an entry-level Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, an entry-level Paul Kagame, an entry-level Muammar Gaddafi, an entry-level Thomas Sankara, an entry-level Chris Hani. These guys are all the same. How you measure them is over time, number one. And number two, to what you're saying, which is now what the adults are meant to be discussing. Who is funding? Is it France?
Absolutely.
Is it Russia?
Is it Russia?
Is it Iran?
Why?
Is it America? Is it Who's funding him? Because
Yes.
that'll answer all the
Yes,
questions
yes.
while the rest of the children are jumping up and down.
Yeah.
If you want a Traore in South Africa, and this is the message I want him to understand, if you want a Traore, you need someone who is militant,
Yeah.
which we generally don't have. It doesn't matter which name you throw at me. There's no one like that in this country. You need someone militant. You need someone who is happy to be funded by someone with a lot of money, who at some point is going to have to give concessions for whether it's gold mines or whatever it's going to need to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be someone who, the people that oppose him, this is the other thing about Traore, Mugabe, etc. The people that oppose him, when that person gets into power, are going to be shafted to the side. They're either going to be killed or silenced, or they won't get the tenders. That's just what it is. And until the children and the teenagers understand that.
No, I agree. But you see, where I would push back, Pen, in your description of the type we need, this is why that is more like a childlike poster child, right? A feed person, like with armor and whatever. And no, I'll tell you why.
Sure.
That's a creation.
Exactly.
Don't like, there's nothing special about Traore. That's a creation. And this is so if the interest groups wanted to polish and cleanse and whatever and put someone up, the interest will do that.
Oh, we had Umtlatla Lux, sorry. We also used to dress militant.
Yes. So we never say no, we need a Matapelo to come and save us. Because our childlike personalities don't have those as heroes versus villain. Our imagination of a hero picture is a male with chest out, stomach in, militant, forthright.
Wearing soldier uniform with the beret.
Soldier uniform. And Traore is giving us the show.
Yes.
There's random people that are showing themselves in wheelbarrows. They say they are making their own roads. This is the nature of the new culture, whatever.
He goes to every meeting, by the way, with the gun. Or what looks like
you
a
need
gun.
Rituals.
It looks like a gun. You're like, hey, every other leader, the weapons have been taken off except this guy. But then they call us haters.
Yes.
They say we don't like the guy. It's not that.
You need the costume. You need the attire. You need the paraphernalia. You need the... It's show business.
It's brilliant.
The man is doing the walk.
But we need that and the salute.
You need that.
The handshake. Like, no, leader.
So
here's my leader.
So when we are overwhelmed by these adult challenges, the child in us says, oh, but come on, look at the guy.
Hey, but give the child something.
No,
all I'm asking is give, at the very least, because we all have a child. For you, for the rest of us, can at least the guys we are looking at, even if they're lying to us, can they give a better show?
Oh, okay. In that sense, I agree.
But nowadays, those who have the child thing they will go to Traore.
You are saying they must give us show business. I think that's right.
That's all. Anyways, no, let's shut it down. Jan, we'll have to speak again. We've been going for 2 hours 15.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, man. I thought today was going to be 1 hour, but we started in a different place.
You thought today was going to be an hour?
Yeah. And it's
we're shutting it down.
Are we done? Jan, you happy?
I'm good. I'm tired.
We're out.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cut.
Sharp.